This program is not suitable for persons under the age of 18. Please do remember to cannabis responsibly at all times. Podcast welcomes you.
Welcome to another episode of Podcast. I'm sitting here with Mr. Travis from Globe at Cann Inc.
That's right.
Can you please tell us exactly what Globe Cann Inc. is?
I can. So let me give you a little bit of history. Globe Cann Inc. is a Canadian-based company that is global, really. So I am the managing director of a company called Globe Cann SA.
Okay.
So partnered with Globe Cann Inc. There's a very good reason for that. The Canadian industry, as I'm sure you're aware, has been legalized for both medicinal and recreational cannabis use for some time. The Globe Cann Inc. team are a team of consultants, and that is what we do, that consults in the entire process of building a cannabis facility.
Oh, okay.
Medicinal cannabis obviously would be the focus, and so our business is all about understanding and assisting customers in the entire process, from investment, licensing, business plans, engineering, construction, and operation. So because of the legislation in Canada, there is a massive amount of experience in our team in these fields.
Okay.
So we've done as a team probably 150 projects from end to end. We've done over 200 license applications.
Wow.
So there's a huge amount of experience. Now, I've known my partners for many years, and my experience has been gained in the Canadian market to be able to have access to these facilities, how they are developed, how they're grown, speaking to the architects, working with them, with the engineers, because it's a very specialized industry, very, very specialized. So we are able to bring to the South African market an immense amount of experience, expertise. This is a very expensive industry to get into. The barriers to entry are huge, and the last thing anybody wants is, as you go through a process, having invested so much money, is to find that you've made mistakes. Because every mistake is money.
Yeah.
So wasting money like that is awful. It lengthens your return on investment, and that's what we're all about. So the one sentence that I want to get out there is what we're about, the business of cannabis. That's our industry.
Awesome.
So, does that answer your initial question?
That does answer my initial question.
Fantastic.
What is the most frequently asked questions that people come to you?
That we get.
Yeah.
I love that question. When 9 out of 10 people come to me, the question is, I have a piece of land, I want to grow cannabis, I want to get into this industry, how do I do it? And unfortunately, or fortunately for us, that's such a small part of the big question. Having a piece of land is fantastic, but the expectation of cannabis taking a huge amount of space to grow, especially on the medicinal, obviously on medicinal, for medicinal requirements, is not correct. So all of the growth that we do is indoor grow. So it's about architecting, designing an indoor facility. And why an indoor facility? One answer, it's returns. So we are able to control yield, we are able to control quality, and understand that this is for human consumption.
Yeah.
So the requirement is to ensure that this is incredibly, perfectly safe. Incredibly safe, probably the incorrect statement. It needs to be safe. So the indoor facility is controlled, and obviously that then works with the licensing process, because the licensing process says that you need to be able to grow indoors. You can grow outdoors, but you need to, from cutting phase, you need to be able to handle that indoors. It needs to be in a controlled environment in its entirety. Now, am I allowed to continue?
No, you continue.
Fantastic,
Please.
thank you. So you can grow outdoors.
Yeah.
It's possible, but you lose control of so many things. You lose control of your yield. How many crops do you have per year? And that's money. The second thing is your potency. You cannot control your percentages of components in the product, which you can in indoor. You have huge risk from pollination, because then you lose your crop. You've got risk from pollution. from bugs, insects, etc. So the risk of being able to get your returns are massively challenged. The risks are very high. And so we reduce those risks. There are costs associated, but the costs are easily justifiable when you look at your returns.
Wow. Oh, that's very much interesting. Learning so much. Now, do you assist also with the licensing?
We do.
You do. Can you please explain? Because I know a lot of people really want to know that.
It is a very, very big question.
Yeah.
And there is no short answer, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So yes, we do. And we have the advantage of much of the South African licensing process has been taken from Health Canada.
Oh, okay.
So if you look on SAHPRA's website, you'll see the references to Health Canada, which is good. Having had the experience that the country has had, we've been able to learn from, I hope, some of the lessons. But there are effectively two stages, so I'm just going to break it down very quickly. So there's a pre-approval in licensing. So with the license, and again, if I can interrupt myself, the misconceptions say, well, it's going to cost you, say, 25, 30 grand to get a license, but that's not the cost. There's a huge amount of information that's required with the license. So yes, you can pay 25 rand, 27,000 rand for a license, but unfortunately, the license requests so much information, your standard operating procedures, your security clearance, how do you set up your divisions, all that information. And your pre-approval is, tell me if I'm making sense, your pre-approval is just a text. Do you do that? Do you have your standard operating procedures? And all of these questions, you can say yes, 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 and you get your pre-approval. Once your facility is built, you need to be able to show all these
Yes.
yes, absolutely. So that's where we come from.
Okay.
Standard operating procedures have to be in place, and that is absolutely critical. The understanding is that this is big business.
Yeah.
This is a very, very big business, and our desire is to be able to work with customers to get to their operational point as quickly as possible. And having these pitfalls, such as licensing, removed, I believe is a critical service to offer to the South African market. Very young market, growing quickly as we can see around us.
Yeah.
Very exciting, and in honesty, in South Africa, it's an immature market. So from a business point of view, it's a really, really good time to get involved.
Oh, quite interesting. And you guys assist with funding because you explained that it's so expensive.
So it is very expensive. So my answer to that question is actually no. We don't, but we do.
Okay.
So the Afrikaans would say Jania, but yes, so yes, no. We do.
Okay.
The initial involvement is the creation of a business plan.
Okay.
Now, the business plan is the creation of a bankable document that can be taken to an investor to be used specifically for attracting funds. You need to have that. The truth is very few people have access to the type of money that's required to set up these facilities. They are incredibly expensive. The standards add layer of costs. There are South African standards and there are European standards. And the European standards, we talk about EU, GMP being good manufacturing practice. It's like the ISO standards of the cannabis industry. And to be able to achieve those adds layer of cost. So to achieve those standards it just becomes more expensive. And the business plan has to be able to define what the business is going to look like, but critically detail the finances. So what are the costs, what are the risks, what are the returns? And when do I as an investor expect to see a return on my money? And that's our involvement in the funding process. It is very difficult for us to be able to go to every customer and say, let me help you get some funds. That's a full-time job, literally. So we would hope that firstly the customer would be willing to put skin in the game and have had initial conversations with investors to know where their funding sources will be.
It's quite interesting. I know a lot of people are definitely going to love this episode. So have you guys tried to reach out to the government so that you can be able to assist so many people who want these licenses and land and everything?
It's again a very good question. No, but yes. So I am well aware of the amount of finances that is available from the government. There are companies that I've spoken with who have these divisions, capital divisions, that are constantly going to government asking for investment for projects. And the amount of money available is actually amazing. And part of my picture is I was never going to be GlobeCann Inc. in South Africa. I'm GlobeCann SA partnering with GlobeCann Inc. because, and there's a partnership agreement in place because the skill, the expertise is essential, but there's a South African context that is really important. It's about upliftment and empowerment and being able to change the economy, literally.
Yeah.
And that has to be understood from a South African context. And for me, that was a non-negotiable. And I'm grateful that the Canadians have been very, very excited about what has happened here, what is happening. So we are very much on the same page. And then to answer your question is, there is money, there definitely is. The government is providing access to funds on many levels to be able to help.
Okay, and then are you guys assisting the government in making sure that the cannabis is fully legalized? Are you having discussions with them? Are you guiding them through the processes and everything? Or
so I'm not personally doing that. There's indirect and definitely a strong indirect pressure. People often ask me, what do I see happening in the next little while from a legalization perspective? And obviously, we really want to see it legalized. There are so many reasons for it. Talk of economy, talk taxes, talk empowerment from an employment perspective, but also management of a grey industry that isn't controlled. I personally know of people who've had their lives negatively impacted by partaking in cannabis products that has been tainted. They're tainted because there's no control. And for me, that's heartbreaking.
yeah,
There is so much benefit that the industry can bring from a medicinal perspective on disease, and I think everybody who's watching this podcast would understand what can be done. And then when I say can be done, I'm talking from a medicinal perspective in the fight against disease, PTSD, insomnia, cancer. You know, the list is very, very long. MS is an acute example. There are effectively, and I talk from a non-medical perspective, as I understand, there are two treatments for MS: opiates and sativa. A product called Sativex, which is very, very difficult to get hold of. Now, I find it very difficult to believe that the government would want opiates to be used on a continuous basis, which is highly addictive, as opposed to cannabis, which can have very, very good effects but not be addictive. So we definitely will continue the drive to see the legalization process done and that engagement with cannabis. Sorry, not with cannabis, with members of the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
So just to put a side note in there are continual conversations being held at the moment to get the cannabis industry, people like myself and many people who are on show at the expo at the moment, to join together to engage with the government. It is happening at the moment, and it's happening earnestly. Are we getting the success we want? No. But there are many things in the pipeline that I believe are going to influence this in a very short space of time. So my answer to the question is watch the space.
Oh, okay. And do you guys host workshops to educate people who are interested?
We don't at the moment, but there's been a lot of conversation about that. It is a big part of our consulting process because we would engage with a customer for at least 2 years to ensure that that customer is getting all the information that they need to be able to run a highly successful business. There's a huge amount of training that is part of the process. What we are doing at the moment, we're putting in place a very exciting opportunity for the project that we are working on for both trainers and for staff to get a college degree through Canada with the facility. Which is, what an amazing opportunity to empower, to educate. It's so exciting. So we are really delighted with the process. It's still a work in progress, but it is definitely on the cards. We've done a lot of work, and my team in Canada have been amazing in interrogating some of the colleges over there to bring that information into South Africa.
And you know of the first university of cannabis here in South Africa, Shiva?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Are you guys also going to be working with them?
We haven't engaged with them yet, but I definitely want to. I definitely want to. So we were talking with a few members of the team a little earlier, so it's very exciting.
Oh, okay. No, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
For coming to our show. And where can people get hold of you should they want to engage?
Of course, email me. My email address is tgriffiths@globe-cann, that's CANN.com, and I'm sure you'll be able to put a link up.
Definitely.
There you go. So that'll be quite easy. Our website is globe-cann.com. Have a look. You'll see us there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Terrific.